Ice Barbie is out on her ass. The stakes starts now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Stakes. I'm Tara Setmayer. This is the Seneca Project. I'm here with our National Press Secretary, Mallory Hagan. Mal, you've been holding down the fort for me, and I appreciate you for that.
I have been so happy to. How are you tonight? I was telling everyone, you've just been gallivanting around, having the best time with some of the coolest people.
Yeah, I mean, again, I do get to do cool things, but at the same time, it's like the work is never done. So, when I was last week, I was at the State of the Union, the State of the Swamp Miles Taylor event. And, that was a long evening and it was wild, actually. I'll talk about that in a hot second. But for everyone who's watching now, they have so StreamYard, the program we use, is like doing something weird with Twitter now. So if you guys are watching, post the live stream to your feeds and tell people to watch it, right, Mal? Is
Mhm.
that what we're doing now?
Yeah. It used to, before, it would just populate to our feed, and now
Right.
it doesn't do that anymore. So you all can help us out
Yeah.
by going into your Twitter, if you have one, and clicking on the live show and just hitting share this video. We're gonna do that actually ourselves right now because we have to
Yes.
do it too.
Yep.
And then if you are not a person who's on Twitter, the cesspool that it is, we totally understand. You can have that same impact by sharing on Facebook as well. We tend to not have as many people watching on Facebook. We would like to change that. So if you're a Facebook
Mhm.
person and you have one, head on over to the Seneca Project and share our live show. We would be so appreciative to help us get the views up.
Yes, because a lot of folks are like, "Where are you guys?" We're like, "We haven't gone anywhere." So, this is the, technology, modern technology giving us a hard time. But that's all right. We're here and we're happy you guys are
It's
joining us.
Elon Musk not wanting us to be
Well,
live.
this is true. It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy. So yeah, so I was at the State of the Swamp thing, which feels like it was a month ago. It was only last week, and I did get an opportunity to speak on a panel and meet the one and only Robert De Niro, which was, don't tell Miles, the only reason why I said yes to doing the event. I'm just kidding. But the idea of having an opportunity to meet one of the titans of the industry, one of the greatest actors ever, and also one
Mhm.
of the loudest voices defending democracy, telling Donald Trump to go fuck himself and
Mhm.
unapologetically doing it. And I love it. So
We love to see an old white man use his privilege for good. No,
listen,
we actually last week we played a majority of his speech because Donald Trump freaked out about him
freaked
and
out.
was like, as he does. And so I was like, I have to go see this. Like, what did he say? What did
Mhm.
Robert De Niro say that was so bad? And it was like, he
It's
was like,
because,
hey, kind of
yeah,
sucks here right now.
right. He basically said, I'm ashamed of my country. And a lot of us are.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not proud of this. And he went down a list of things. Does that make you love your country? No. And that, that shit's got to stop. And he's right. So that's why we're
Hmm.
fighting against that, because those of us who do love our country don't want to put up with this anymore. It's embarrassing. So and plus he's a New Yorker. He's a quintessential New Yorker. He's a tough guy, right? He plays lots of roles of characters that Donald Trump wishes he could be, the mafia roles, and like, he plays like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so he wishes he was as cool and as beloved and as talented as Robert De Niro. So, but it was very cool. It was a full circle moment, right? We talked about my relationship with Robert Duvall, who just passed at 95, about 2 weeks ago. And then, I was saying how back on the show, you can go back and pull it, where I was saying how Robert Duvall would tell me great stories about working with Robert De Niro and how he was, kind of a quirky guy. And so when I met Robert De Niro, I told him the story about my mom and The Godfather and my relationship with Robert Duvall. And I said, and he told great stories about you. I didn't tell him he said he was quirky, but I said he told great stories about him. And he was so, so nice. And what was the coolest part about it was I was cavelling because he recognized me and knew me by name. And I almost fell over
Wow.
because he saw me. I was Glenn Kirshner was talking to him first, and I was just kind of hanging back, waiting my turn. And he looked, and he went, You're Tara." He goes, "Oh, you're great. You're something else. You're great." I was like, "Oh,"
Oh.
I almost passed out. I was like, "Okay, first of all, it's Robert De Niro. Second of all, he knows my name. Oh my God." So anyway, so that was cool. And then the next day after that, for those who are wondering, like, where has Tara been? So the next day, I was down at the University of Virginia, where most of you know that I'm a resident scholar there. So I'm down at UVA periodically during the semesters, either teaching classes or speaking, doing guest lectures or hosting events. And I did actually, I should have put this photo in there too, but I forgot. Anyway, first there was Nancy Pelosi, who came to speak to students, which was really cool. She's a force, man. She is an absolute force. And all those years I spent as a Republican, completely trashing Nancy Pelosi. She was all of that stuff. I actually apologized to her. I said to her, I said, I was a Republican for 27 years. And of course, we weren't kind to you. And I apologize for every unkind thing I ever said about you. And
You said that? What did she say?
She laughed. She said, "Oh, please." She goes, "Listen, the Republicans need to get their party back." She was so, I mean, she, believe me. I mean,
She knows
been
what's
called
up.
everything. Yes. And
Yeah.
she's a battle axe, man. Like she is. And watching her at, what is she, like 82,
I
83?
was gonna say she is
Put
still,
together.
yeah.
She is put together. She is on it. She spoke to almost every student that asked her a question. She was, interacting with the audience because it was a small, intimate dinner first, and then there was a bigger event, and she was on it. And yeah, she could not have been nicer, and she's just wonderful. And so, never in my life, if you'd have asked Tara Setmayer of 10 years ago, if I'd be complimenting Nancy Pelosi and saying what a force she was, I would have told you were nuts. So
I have to tell you,
crazy.
and I understand every documentary, every docu-series has an angle, and hers was directed by her daughter. So like
Right.
I'm
The,
fully aware of that.
the January 6th one, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, just the tiniest glimpse into her communication style, how she handles the people around her, like all of those
Hmm.
things that would remain no matter who it was that was directing the documentary.
Right.
I was just so I was so impressed by her. And what's really funny to me is when I was running for Congress at 29 and my first very very first toe dip into politics, right?
Hmm.
I was pressured over and over and over and over again everywhere I went to say that I would not vote for Nancy Pelosi.
What year was
And
this?
2018.
Oh yeah, that was the year of the squad, and when Nancy Pelosi was the establishment, and she was when when there were the
But
Democrats were
I'm
going
also in
after her.
Alabama. People, I mean,
Right.
they might as well said, "Will you vote for the devil?" Like that was
Yeah.
what I was getting
Yeah.
at.
Yep.
And I just, being that age and not having been entrenched in politics up until that point, I was like, I don't, what is so bad about this woman?
Yeah.
um, and all I have learned since then is you might not agree with her, but by God, she is a brilliant political
She
mind.
she is, and she was
She's
just
a
spitting pearls
brilliant
of
political
wisdom.
mind.
Pearls of wisdom, one after the other. And I was talking to my mom about this the other night, about how I also have a whole new respect for Hillary Clinton,
Mm.
because she's another one who was like,
Mhm.
forget about it. And so, but after the 2016 campaign and after the documentary, and then of course just being in this space now, running a women's organization, seeing, just being more engulfed in how women are treated overall, just historically, just it just opened my eyes to a lot of things that I kind of had blinders on to when I was not involved in the pro-democracy freedom fight. And
Space,
it's
yeah.
yeah, and I, I'm there's no ego here. I'm not afraid of saying, like, I was very wrong. Now, policy wise, we don't agree, but just like going after their character and things that I have so much respect for both of those women and what they've done, and they're trailblazers. They really are. And
They
Hillary
really
Clinton would have been
are.
she would have been a great president, and we wouldn't be in this mess if she had won the first time. So
I've said multiple times just this week, like, you can't make me hate that lady. I'm
yeah, I know
sorry.
you're a big
You
fan.
know, well, it's not even that. You know, I recognize, I can recognize when people have faults, and people who represent us are not rock stars. They're not
Right.
celebrities. They, you know, they, we owe it to ourselves and to our country to hold them accountable and to disagree with them when it matters.
Mm-hmm.
But by sheer just force of will
Yes.
and determination, qualification, and the ability to withstand the insanity that our political system has placed on her and her family for decades now, to
Yeah.
still be able to stand up there, smart as a whip, with every clapback. I actually loaded. I'll show it later
Yeah. When we talk
when
about
we talk about
Epstein.
Epstein. But I
Yeah.
loaded a clip of her that I was like, this is gonna live in my phone.
Oh,
This one clip right here of Hillary's face will live in my phone
listen,
forever.
she knows how that she's been there before. She's been raked over the coals and battling these guys for 30 plus years. She's like, there's nothing you can
And
say or do that's gonna rattle me.
people forget that she's the brains. He was
Yes.
the retail. She
Yes.
was the brains.
Yes.
And
And listen,
he wouldn't be
no,
Bill Clinton without Hillary.
no,
Let's
no. And the
yeah.
documentary really cements that. Like, you don't really realize how much she how,
Mhm.
what like she was the backbone, no doubt about it,
Mhm.
and how much of her own career she put on the back burner for him, which is a whole other conversation, but
Yeah.
partially what got in the way of her strategy during 2016. And I know this from inside sources that were in that orbit, that Bill was trying to give her political advice and campaign advice. And when things weren't going well, and he was like, you need to recalibrate. There's certain things she should be doing differently. Like, he was one of the people who told her, why the hell do you have your campaign office in Brooklyn? That, like, and she did not want to hear it. She was hell bent on doing that, running that whole campaign without him. And he is a very, he's a political genius when it comes to connecting with people. He understands
Mhm.
politics and people, and she just wouldn't listen. And that was part of because she wanted to do it outside of his shadow. She didn't want to have anything to do with it. Bill have anything to do with it. And that hurt her. So anyway, so
Yeah.
that's that. And then the next day, it is Women's History Month, everyone. We are the Seneca Project. And so the next day, I interviewed the author Larissa Reinhart, who wrote a book about Jeanette Rankin, who was the first woman member of Congress. She was from the great state of Montana, and a very interesting character. She was talking about another force. She was
Mhm.
another one. She was incredible. And I read the book, and it was really, really good. So we did that. So that was last week. That's why I wasn't here. And then this week, right now, I'm actually supposed to be in New York. CNN has called. I am not banned from CNN. They have
Good.
called. Yes, I was on the schedule to go up there, but because of all the Iran coverage and all that, they decided to bump me. And they asked me if I could come next week. But the day they asked me to come next week, I said, I can't come, pick another day. So, but that was before the Kristi Noem news hit today. But before I talk about that, last night, I just want to say, talk about other forces of nature, women who are just amazing. My husband and I had the opportunity to go to a beautiful event at the Supreme Court. I have not stepped foot inside the Supreme Court building in probably 40 years. I don't know, 38 years, maybe when I was
I
in
never
like high
have.
school. It
How
is such a
cool.
beautiful building. And this dinner is called the Sphinx Awards of Medals of Excellence. It awards um, musicians awards of excellence. They get $50,000 grants, and it's for Black and Latino artists. And they featured a violinist, a percussionist, and a composer. And a conductor. And it was beautiful. And it was hosted by Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, Sonia Sotomayor.
Mhm.
And she is another one, she's not young, but she was on it. She was dressed to the nines, and she came around. And eventually we'll have a picture of her at the table. The protocol was we weren't allowed to take photos. We actually snuck that one. But so that's why I don't have any photos with her or like inside and any of that. Really, I have like I had a couple outside photos and like one inside, but we weren't allowed to take real photos. But
Mhm.
and also Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was there too. Yeah, so
They could
I'll
also
give it
never cancel her, not for going to an
no.
award show. Get out of
No,
here.
I know exactly. It was crazy. So I got a wonderful evening of, really smart, amazing women, historical women, first Latina, first Black women of the Supreme Court, and beautiful music and really talented people. So that was very cool. So that I've been doing a lot. And meanwhile, there were folks that came over, said how much they love Seneca Project, and that was really cool. In a room like that, and I had a few people come up and say, "You guys are doing great. I love what you guys are doing." So that was cool. So yeah, so all of that's going on. And like I said, I should have been in New York tonight. I wish I was in New York tonight to talk about Kristi Noem getting fired. But technically, she's not fired, she's reassigned. But she sucks. She's the worst. I'm so glad that she finally was going. And the thing that pisses me off about this, though, other than that, she should be like, not only should she be officially fired, no longer on the taxpayer dole, and like brought up on charges for her transgressions over at DHS and what she's allowed to happen. But she wasn't fired because of that litany of transgressions. You understand this. She was fired because she got her ass handed to her at the congressional hearings in the House and the Senate side. They raked her over the coals and they destroyed her. The affair with Corey Lewandowski, the Blanky thing and firing the pilot, the $220 million ad campaign thing that we'd been talking about for almost a year now. Brought that up about how corrupt that whole thing was, because the freaking person who runs the company that got the majority of those dollars, 143 million of it, was the husband of Trisha McLaughlin, who was her spokesperson. And Corey Lewandowski still worked for that company. It was so ridiculous. So all of those things, finally, people and Republicans were pissed off at her. You had Tom Tillis just nail her, threatening to hold up any kind of Senate confirmations or anything until he got answers from her. Like even Senator Kennedy, Foghorn Leghorn himself over there, even he was like, what are you doing? So the writing was on the wall, and Trump finally had enough. He was making him look bad.
My favorite clip was of course, as per usual, Jasmine Crockett being like, "I'm sorry, do you have a law degree?
Right.
Do you have a law degree?
Right.
But I'm talking about the law. Do you understand the law? Do you have a law degree?" It's just like, my God.
Oh my God.
As usual.
One right after the other. Well, Congressman Goose nailed her. Oh my God. Jared Moskowitz. He's a character. He went after her with the whole Corey Lewandowski thing. She tried to be self-righteous. And the thing is, her husband was sitting there right behind her in the audience. Did she think that was going to somehow immunize her from the attacks on this? Everybody knows, it's been well known. It's the worst kept secret ever about her and Corey Lewandowski. It goes back years. So, what did she think? And then she tried to say, "Oh, that's what you people do. You accuse us, conservative women, of either being dumb or sluts." I would have been like, "Well, if the shoe fits."
Yeah. A hit dog go holler, as we say.
As you say in Alabama. That's right. So yeah, and like it was Markwayne Mullen, okay, that yahoo from Oklahoma is who Trump is tapping to replace her. And I guess he was getting bored in the Senate and couldn't wait to be a lapdog now for Trump and control the enormously bloated budget of the DHS. Nothing qualifies him to run the DHS, by the way, but like that matters.
Nothing qualified her, and yet.
Correct.
Qualifications with this administration mean absolutely nothing.
Like, stupid me. And so
we're going to talk about Hegseth here soon. Just keep them coming.
Right. And so, it's not going to, the only difference really is going to be that he probably won't be as publicly inept as she was, because she was an attention whore. And that became too much. And Donald Trump didn't like that. And also because she lied and said that he approved of that $220 million ad campaign. And it was a no bid contract. So that was, those were lies. And Representative Neguse pointed out, like, what do you mean? She tried to say it wasn't a no bid, that there was competition. No, there wasn't. Okay. That's not true. The entity that the money was funneled through was formed like 4 days before the announcement went out for this contract. So there was so many shady things going on. It was so corrupt. It was ridiculous. I'm glad Democrats finally woke up and discovered this, because this has been going on since last year.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he didn't like that. She said that he approved of it, and he did not. So he claims. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But she's on her ass out, and they put her, they made up some job for her, like, what do they call, the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas or some shit. What is that?
Can I posted this photo of her today just because I want to remind people that this is what she really looks like.
Yes.
I was like, find me a picture of her original face, please.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
I know that is neither here nor there regarding all of the horrendous, awful, terrible things that she has done, but
it's all
the MAGA Barbie face implants and stuff.
Yes.
With all of them, not just her. I was like, this is what this woman really looks like.
That's correct. Yes, she's like unrecognizable, just like a lot of them are. Like, you're like, what is that? That whole MAGA, Mar-a-Lago face thing is real. It's real. So yeah, so she's in some made up, position now.
Eileen says it sounds like a Marvel movie, The Shield of America.
Right, The Shield. Like, so I don't know if it was Jared Moskowitz or somebody that was like, what did Trump just watch the latest Avengers movie and come up with that name? Because like, what is that? It's not a thing. Just so you people know, it's not a thing. The special envoy to the Shield of the Americas is made up, and it was just a way to make her go away quietly. But she's still on a taxpayer dime, which is the most annoying part about this. We're still paying for her, and it's just outrageous, absolutely outrageous. So, Mark Wayne Mullen, so that you guys remember, he's the guy that threatened to fight the Teamsters guy. Remember that when a couple of years ago, he started stood up and was like trying to take his ring off. Was like, yeah, come at me, bro. And he was like, yeah, my money was on the Teamsters, dude. Okay, the Teamsters.
But wasn't he one of the ones like hiding like January 6th? So he's ready to.
Mark Wayne Mullen. Oh, of course. Like, all the rest of them. They're all a bunch of fucking bitches. They talk all of this, but then when it came down to it, Josh Hawley, remember, in the famous fist pump, but meanwhile his ass was running in his little, in his dress shoes through the marble halls of Congress, getting his ass out of there too. So he wasn't one of the guys that were barricading the doors like Jason Crow and other people who actually served in the military. So, like, please, they can all, please, they're all a bunch of wusses. So stay tuned. I'm sure that there will be more drama there with that, but that's the latest on that. So ding dong, Ice Barbie bitch is out. Iran. I forgot to mention that we do have a guest tonight, who we're gonna bring in 2 minutes. My good friend Maria Cardona is joining us. She's also one of the advisors here for the Seneca Project, and you've seen her on CNN. So Maria's going to jump in the conversation and join us in a couple minutes. I just want to do this Iran update, and then we'll bring her in. So, as you guys have seen, since the last time we were together, we're at war. I mean, when we say that a week is a lifetime in politics, we live this out every week.
Since Donald Trump.
Yes. Well, yes. With Donald Trump, it feels like eons. 10 lifetimes.
Didn't used to be this way.
No, it didn't. You
used to could enjoy the simple things in life without being inundated with the awfulness of everything at all the time.
I mean, it is everything all at once, all the time with these freaking people. I used to joke that when Biden won and he was back in office, one of the jokes with like inside the DMV was, oh, we can finally have Sunday brunch again.
Just like breathe for a minute.
Right. But that's out the window, because there's never a moment where these fuckers aren't trying to destroy America. And so since last week, we are now at war with Iran. I woke up on Saturday morning and was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I actually slept in, and I woke up at like 9 on Saturday morning, and I roll over and I said, what the fuck? And my husband was like, what now? What now?
The signal was like every single chat I'm in. It was like me and you and Joe, and then the siren, us, and then I was like, it was just like, what is going on?
Yeah. No,
God.
like we know, and obviously the administration itself can't figure out what the hell the reasoning and the timing for why we went to war with Iran. And because they have gone back and forth, back and forth. We posted it on our YouTube and our Instagram. Like, they changed their stories 5 times. They can't get it together because we firmly believe that it was a distraction because
Of
of
course.
all the bad news domestically. The Epstein files were reaching a fevered pitch last week, and poll numbers were dropping. Everything. It was not a good look for Donald Trump domestically. And what better thing to do now?
I was going to say, and he thought, you know what will make this all worse?
Yeah, let's launch
How
some
about
bombs.
just dropping some bombs?
Yeah, let's drop some bombs because nobody likes Iran. So, like, nobody's cheerleading like for us to lose. Like, that's not what anybody's doing here. Like,
Mhm.
the Ayatollahs are horrible. Iran is a state sponsor of terror, the worst in the world. They've killed many Americans over the last 40 years. I'm not shedding a tear over these fuckers being killed, okay? But the way in which we have done this, the way they've dragged in the region now and Israel's influence over this and all of this, it's not just that. It's not that simple. We are literally in war, and they didn't let Congress in on it or anything like that. And they're, this is a disaster, and the
Yeah.
American people aren't happy. And we heard the horrible news that a girls' school was like, what was it, like 60 young girls got caught in this, like, in a bomb, and they didn't know who dropped it.
I think it was
Was
more
it more than
actually,
that?
but yeah.
Yeah, 100 and something maybe. It was
Yeah, I think it
awful,
was
okay?
closer. Yeah.
Awful, awful, awful. And the reports are coming out that it was an American bomb that did it, but they wouldn't say yes or no. Well, it is
Well,
now
and
in the
then
news that it was one of ours.
yeah, then you've got Marco Rubio saying, this could have been an accident, and then Hegseth comes behind and was like, no, this was all very deliberate. So
Yeah.
also can't get their story straight.
No,
Whether
one
or
hand
not they
doesn't
meant to
know.
do.
Yeah, one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. Meanwhile, we're running out of munitions, right? The Patriot missile defense system munitions and things, like, they're running out of the really expensive precision bombs that we use because this wasn't very well planned. So, this is, and Pete Hegseth is running around acting like he's like playing with GI Joe toys. We use a torpedo for the first time to take out an Iranian a ship, the first time since World War II. Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of commentary that they have publicly right now is extremely irresponsible. I've actually got a little clip of Pete here.
Okay, good. Then we'll bring in Maria.
It's very short, but
the president said earlier today in an interview that he would like to have a say in who's the next leader of Iran. Is this an expansion of your military objectives? Do you view it that way? And additionally, you spoke earlier today about how previous leaders have drawn resources from our hemisphere to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. How do you avoid that?
Well, there's no expansion. Ultimately, I think the president's having a heck of a say in who runs Iran, given the ongoing operation we have. So there's no expansion in our objectives. We know exactly what we're trying to achieve. I think today's a great...
Do we, though?
I know.
Do we have any idea what we're trying to achieve?
No, they don't know. They don't know. They have
no idea.
And it's evident. And meanwhile, we're going to be dragged into a quagmire now with Iran, because Iran is not Iraq. It's not Libya. It's not Venezuela. They are formidable opponents. They have relationships with China. There's a lot. They control the Strait of Hormuz over there, which controls 1/5 of the oil supply in the world. If you've noticed that your gasoline prices have shot up, I know they've gone up 35 cents in the last week where I live.
Wasn't that what Susie Wiles was upset about?
Yes. Reports today are out that Susie Wiles was freaking out. She was like, get us some good news, like screaming at White House aides because Trump was losing his shit because it's nothing but bad news. Well, when you fuck up the country and decide to go to war with no plan and are completely tone deaf to the affordability crisis and all the things that you're doing, you're going to have bad news. And so it's like chaos, absolute chaos in the White House. And chaos is good for our side because that means that they're too busy being chaotic. Meanwhile, Democrats can get it together, stay unified, and win these midterms, which is a good segue to bring in my good friend, Maria Cardona. Come on down, Maria.
Hey, sisters. How are you? Good to see
Maria.
you with you. So exciting. So much going on. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh,
I've been
right?
Your conversation and I've been like, yeah. And another thing.
Well, for those who are just joining us, Maria Cardona is a longtime experienced veteran Democratic strategist, and she's also been with CNN for many years. Maria and I go back to like 2008 when we used to be on opposite sides
Yeah.
of the political aisle, and we used to battle one another back in the day. And it's so funny. You, Paul Bagala, like, all of my Democratic like besties now, but we all respected each other, right? It
Yeah,
was
that's
back
right.
when it was about policy. It wasn't about like fundamentally should we destroy our democracy and like prop up flying fascists. Like
How
that was
quaint, right? It's
right.
just, it seems so quaint.
I miss those days. Marginal tax rates,
I
healthcare,
know.
Social
I
Security.
know, right?
Good
The actual, when
Lord.
we would get mad about the actual policy. Imagine that.
Imagine that. Well, now we are thrilled to have you as one of our senior advisors here at the Seneca Project. You've been with me from the very beginning. You were one of the first people I asked when we decided to start this, and I love you for everything you do and for being so supportive of us. So we're happy to have you chat with us tonight about stuff that's going on. And Mallory, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you so much for having me. What you're doing at the Seneca Project is, I think, so instrumental in continuing to mobilize the country, mobilize our communities, letting them know exactly what's going on, why it's important to let our voices be heard, make sure that we are holding our leaders accountable and fighting for our communities and for our families and for what we know is our fundamental rights as women, as business leaders, as leaders of families, as moms. And I just think everything that you're doing, the messaging is so right on and so incredibly needed. So thank you. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Maria. It's when we look at the news today, right? And this week has been just another fire hose, right? I mean, between this war with Iran, what's happening in the region, the way this administration is just completely mucking it up. It's like they're trying to back Democrats into a corner to do the same thing they did with immigration, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're supporting illegal immigrants. You want these rapists and gang members to stay
Yeah.
here. You hate our law enforcement. And it's like, no one is saying that. We're saying that we don't want you violating people's constitutional rights, and we don't want you deporting people who shouldn't be deported. And but that this is what they do, and they're doing the same thing with Iran. Oh, you're cheering for Iran. You want America to lose. You want the Ayatollah to still be. And it's like, no. Do you think the Democrats have been handling the response to this well?
I think some of them have. I think all of them need to come out and much more vociferously talk about how this is a huge mistake for all of the reasons that you all have been talking about. And again, clarify very directly, this is not about shedding a tear for the Ayatollahs, right? We all know it's a murderous regime that has sponsored terrorism. So no one is sad that they are gone. But it matters how we do things.
Yes.
As the most powerful country in the world, we have a responsibility in terms of how we do things, not just for our own people, but if we're going to continue to be the leader of the free world, and frankly, I don't think we are anymore. I think there's no question, right? I mean, our allies look at us with side eye. They don't trust us. They can't count on us, and they're looking elsewhere, either depending on themselves more, making alliances amongst themselves, and frankly, we're pushing people into China's arms.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous for us long term. And what this administration is doing with Iran, again, we did it illegally and unconstitutionally. They did not bring Congress in on this at all. The first thing that Donald Trump did after he announced that we were going to war, it wasn't getting on the phone to call the global leaders and our allies to try to rally up support for what he's doing and convince them this is the right thing and here's why we need you. Do you know who he called? Lara Loomer.
I know.
That's who he called.
I know. We should have had a picture. We should have like a picture of Laura Loomer loaded up, because like just in general, because the fact that this bitch has this much influence with Donald Trump
It's
is
criminal.
It is. I mean, she is one of the worst people on the planet. She is a female Stephen Miller, and she is like terrorizing.
Yeah, it's
so
dangerous.
many people.
It's
She
dangerous.
absolutely is dangerous. She's a zealot. She's a know nothing, but she's dogged, and she goes after people and tries to dox them, and like she is awful, and she has the ear of Donald Trump in ways that shouldn't be allowed. And the fact that that's who he called, I guess he got around to eventually calling the UK Prime Minister, but Keir Starmer, who's very upset, he's very upset with him because the British were like, fuck off. You didn't ask us beforehand. You didn't give us the heads up. Guess what? We're not opening our airspace to let you use your planes on our soils so you can drag us into it so Iran can come after us too. No, they haven't talked since so apparently they haven't talked since last Saturday. That's our closest ally.
You reap what you sow, you know, and this again goes back around to what we have all known in terms of how unfit Donald Trump is, not just to be the president of the United States, but the commander in chief. So back to your question about Democrats, I think Democrats are on incredibly solid ground to be unequivocal about what a big mistake this war is for so many reasons, right? Number one, no one in the administration agrees on why we did this.
Yeah,
they have
the reasoning
to come up with a clear, articulate, unified message that makes any sense to anyone. And they change it every 5 minutes. Oh, it's because they were about to get a nuclear weapon. But back in June, we destroyed their nuclear capabilities, right? Oh, no. They were about to attack us with missiles. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is talking to Congress saying they were not about to attack us with anything.
Right. Not with intercontinental ballistic missiles, right?
But also, I mean,
have missiles.
Right.
This is also par for their course, though, right? Their whole thing is to see how much shit they can throw against the wall and see which one sticks. So, you know, it's also on purpose. They're all trying to figure out which is going to be the message that lands so they can run with that.
But see, this is where I think Democrats have a prime opportunity to take advantage of that, to show the massive corrupt discombobulation that is coming out of this White House and how that poses a danger to us from a national security standpoint and from an economic standpoint. Look at what's going on with gas prices. I know you mentioned that earlier. It's making Susie Wiles' head explode, as it should, because this is going to be something that they are going to pay for as we come up to the midterm elections. So I do think Democrats need to much more vociferously, strongly, unequivocally come out against this war and essentially make the comparison. Look what he's doing while families still can't make ends meet.
Exactly.
Right. If you have $1 billion a day, for a war, you can come up with some subsidies for Americans' healthcare.
Exactly.
And for America's farmers and for food assistance and for all of the people. That's right. For kids, cancer research, like all the things that Doge
school
ripped
lunches,
away.
Right. Everything that they ripped out. They literally ripped food out of the mouths of starving children.
Yes. Yeah. And the more that those types of visceral stories, examples, the imagery of that we have, the better, because people need to know who to blame. I was on with Don Lemon earlier today.
I saw you.
Oh, you saw? Yes. And I was on with the congresswoman from Maryland, and she represents a rural district in Maryland. And she was talking about how they just worked on the farm bill and how it was like shockingly bipartisan. And for those who don't know, the farm bill is usually passed every 5 years because the farmers need that lead time in order to know how to plant their crops and prepare for things. So they can't be held hostage to the yearly dysfunction of the appropriations process that happens in Congress. So the farm bill is supposed to be every 5 years. Well, they've kind of messed that up too, because Congress has been so dysfunctional. But
Right.
this, like the farm bill is like one of the last bastions of bipartisanship because you've
Yeah.
got Democrats and Republicans who represent rural districts that this is like, they have to get this right. It's kind of like the defense spending too. Usually that would be pretty bipartisan, but again, that was before this hellscape.
Right.
So anyway, I was saying to her, I'm like, listen, the Democrats who are in rural districts need to scream from the rooftops that the reason why you have record numbers of farmers declaring bankruptcy is directly because of Donald Trump's policies. He has betrayed them.
Exactly.
Please, people need to know who to blame. Republicans are very good at this. Democrats, not so much. So hopefully they'll listen.
but so here's the good news. And you kind of teased it as you were bringing me in. There were some amazing results coming out of the primaries on Tuesday night.
Yep.
And the numbers show that we have massive momentum going into the midterm elections. And so we do have the wind at our backs. No one can sleep on their laurels. No one can assume we have it in the bag. We have to work hard, but we have the message that we know works. And it's exactly what we've been talking about here. And some of the results out of Tuesday night were unbelievable. Let's talk about Texas for a second.
Yes.
Right? James Tallarico did an amazing job. And Tara, you and I talked about this. I loved Jasmine Crockett as well.
Me too.
She's amazing.
I tried to help her. We tried. We did our part, but it was a bit of a challenging campaign strategy, is what I will say, because I love my sister Jasmine Crockett, but James Tallarico ran a better campaign.
He did. He did, and he really put the work into it, and he had a great team. And from all of the numbers that are coming out of that, for the very first time since 2002, 200,000 more Democrats voted in this primary than Republicans voted. That is huge.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yes. So there is something happening on the ground in Texas. And I know that everyone is saying, oh, but we always get our hopes up.
Right.
And it's like Lucy with the football.
Right. It's the white whale.
We have to understand that that's a possibility. Again, not assuming that this is a done deal. By no means is it a done deal. By every means is this going to be a huge uphill battle. But I am saying that the time is ripe for this to happen now. And James Tallarico, I think, has the recipe to do it. And we have... Again, the messaging, I think, is working. His persona works in Texas. I heard from a dear friend of mine who has family in the Valley. And when he called them to say they're all Latinos, and they, he even calls them redneck Latinos who have never voted before for anyone in their life. They called him up saying, oh my God, we voted for Tallarico. And he was like, I didn't even know you guys were registered to vote. Yeah, we registered so we could vote for him. I mean, the excitement, and they live in the Valley.
Yeah, the Rio Grande Valley, for those who aren't from Texas.
Right. Yeah. And this was the group, the area that went for Trump last year. Right. These were the group of Latino men who went for Trump last year. They are swinging back hard. They are swinging back hard, and they are excited about Tallarico. He speaks their language. He allows them to kind of come back home with a message of hope, but also a message of fighting for them.
Right.
Fighting against an elite, corrupt, government apparatus that is not working for them. And so I think that if we expand that message, it's also working all throughout the country, because let me give you two other amazing stats that will give you hope for what is happening, not just in Texas, but all around the country. In Arkansas on Tuesday night, Democrats flipped a state legislative seat in Arkansas. That was plus 30 Trump before, and the Democrat won it by 17 points.
That is a 47-point swing.
Yes. And
in Arkansas.
That was the 27th. Listen to this. That was the 27th legislative seat that Democrats have flipped from red to blue since Donald Trump took office. Do you know how many seats Republicans have flipped?
None.
0.
That's right.
0.
Listen, those are extraordinary numbers, and that is indicative of a major shift, because we saw numbers like that on the Republican side in 2010.
Exactly.
And that was the big, 2010 midterms is when
lacking.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so which is why you heard me us talking about Susie Wiles and what was going on in the White House, that they're freaking out.
They are.
And it's not just in the White House. It's also over at the NRSC. That's the National Republican Senatorial Committee.
Yes.
And that is run by Tim Scott and his aides, and they're getting they're catching a lot of shit, because they're like, you guys aren't taking this seriously. There's a whole story out today about how Tim Scott and his former chief of staff on the Senate campaign, who Senate office, who's now over at the NRSC working for him, where they're like, you people aren't taking this seriously. We could lose the Senate. What the hell are you doing? They're talking about his aide, like letting her dog run around on the conference table during meetings and shit.
Goodness.
Yes. Like, these are not serious people. Meanwhile, they're staring down losing the Senate.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that we're even talking about Democrats taking over the Senate, at the very beginning, when all of this started happening, I hoped against hope that the terrain could switch and there could be a possibility, there could be some pathway. There is a pathway now. There is a pathway for Democrats to take over the Senate, and Republicans are freaking out. And if, Democrats have to continue to push these messages really hard, unequivocally, fiercely, without any regret, no mealy mouth, no triangulation.
Right.
People want fighters. They want freaking fighters. They want people who are going to stand up for them. Across the board. And this is where, here's something else that we cannot let Republicans get away with. And that is, Democrats can't decide whether they want Mondani as their leader, AOC, or, Abigail Spanberger. You know what? All of them are.
Yeah.
All of them are leaders. All of them have their own districts and their own states, and they speak to their voters, and that's how we win. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. You cannot let Republicans push into this corner to have to choose whether we're going to follow someone who's a democratic socialist, or whether we're going to follow someone who is more of a moderate. Because you know what? Voters don't give a shit. Voters don't give a shit what label is in front of the leader if that leader is fighting for them. That's what they care about.
We've talked about that. I mean, we've had that conversation where, Democrats are the big tent for a reason. And within a big tent, you've got a lot of different people who have a lot of different views, a lot of different ways that they foresee policy and leadership and all of those things. And it depends on where you are.
Exactly.
It 100% does. Mamdani works for New York City. He wouldn't work in Alabama, where I live. But Abigail might. And I'd love to see an Abigail in Alabama.
Right, exactly. And somebody who is going to be successful in Alabama, for example, is not going to run the same kind of campaign that Mondani ran. Now, I say they should maybe adopt some of his strategies and some of his tactics, which were brilliant. He went to voters. He spoke to them where they were. He talked to young people. He used social media brilliantly. All of that works for anyone, no matter what policies they're pushing, right?
Rico's the same thing.
Exactly.
It's a similar playbook. There are, like, that template works as far as the tactics. Now, as the only non-Democrat here on this in this conversation, obviously I don't agree with Mamdani's positions on things, and I wish him success in New York.
Right.
I question whether he can be or not, because those are very lofty populist ideas that don't necessarily work in our system, but we'll see. Maybe he will.
Exactly.
Yeah, but how do we know they don't work? That's the other question. A lot of people will tell you that things won't work that they've never tried before.
Right.
So,
and you know what? Actually,
let's try. What's wrong with trying?
Mallory, that was one of the key messages that worked for him. And
he tried all the other things. Try this.
And do you know why it worked? Because young people have only grown up under a system that has been horribly wretched for them.
Right.
And so they like to hear leaders putting out these new ideas and even saying, and you know what? If that doesn't work, we'll try something else.
Yeah, Jen saying the snow shoveling worked is it's just a point, right? Like everyone made fun of him for saying, I'll pay you $28 an hour if you'll show up at the garage, give them your ID, you can go out and shovel snow, you can make money, our streets will be clear. And everyone was like, that'll never work. And then they had thousands of people show up and New York City was back to work, right? And it's just a matter of thinking about things a little bit differently.
That's right.
How can
Thinking
we
outside the box.
use how can we use the resources we have, the people who are willing to work and do something different? And lo and behold, I know it's shoveling snow. It's not a massive systemic change, but
but it's an example of something
something needed to be done.
That's right. And
people were ready to do it.
That's right. He solved the problem.
He solved the problem. Problem solving. That's
and you know what? The other side of that though is that sure, that's shoveling snow, but it builds trust. Because what he did was he put together a system across a major city. They built an infrastructure basically overnight for that to happen, and it was successful. And so now the next time that he says, hey, we're going to do this little bit of a random thing, let's see if it works.
That's right.
People are more likely to say, you know what, the last time it worked, let's try it.
Right.
And you build that trust until you get to the larger systems and larger things that need to be changed, and people believe that you're going to be able to do it.
That's exactly right. Because these local elected officials that are the closest to our, everyday needs, if they can't solve how to shovel snow, they're not going to be able to solve the bigger things, right?
Exactly.
So that was really important, and kudos to him.
The other thing too is that Donald Trump did the work for us. Someone as a strategist, I was like, oh my God, they're going to use him as the boogeyman, like they did with Pelosi in 2010, and they did, with AOC. I'm like, this guy, oh my God, every Democrat, doesn't matter where they're from, they're going to be Mamdani, a socialist, is it right?
Right.
Donald Trump has a hard on for this guy.
I know.
He brings him into the White House. He's like
great.
fawning over him.
Yeah.
And he's like, not once, but twice.
Yeah.
So now if I was that strategist that was all ready, you got to scrap all the Mamdani ads because it's not going to matter, because the way you counter that is you put him in the Oval Office with Donald Trump smiling from ear to ear.
Well, and the best part of
played him like a fiddle.
Yes.
But the best part of that whole interaction, the best part was one of the reporters said, you've called Trump a dictator. Do you stand by that? And Trump goes, it's all right. You can call me a dictator.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's okay.
Like, what? He's so
as he's
transactional
next to him in the power position with him in a chair. Like it was just all of
wild. It's so wild. But again, like it goes back to what we started this conversation with Maria on. It's like about how unpopular Trump is and what this administration is doing. The American people are starting to really be like, what the fuck? Even Republicans are like, I did not vote for this.
Exactly.
And one of those examples, obviously, is the Iran war and this internecine warfare inside the Republican Party that is really starting to heat up. It started with the Epstein files and then the Venezuela stuff. And now you have this legit fracture with the America First MAGA people and then the MAGAs, right? The Marjorie Taylor Greene called Laura Loomer a bitch on Twitter this week. And then you've got like Donald Trump's yelling at Tucker Carlson, throwing him out of MAGA, saying he's not really MAGA. Like they are all fighting each other over this. Megyn Kelly, Matt Walsh, Eric Prince, for God's sakes, even was like, the Black guy.
I mean,
right. They're all coming at him and he doesn't like that. So he's like trying to say, well, I cast them out. They are no longer MAGA. Well,
they're not MAGA. I'm MAGA.
I'm MAGA. You're not MAGA. You're not allowed to play here anymore. Like it's so immature and juvenile. But what isn't is another thing that people and a lot of folks are like, oh, what's the big deal? And we all agree here that when he basically demolished the East Wing. People waking up to that, and just the visceral reaction of that is the people's house. Like, who are you? What are you doing? That's not yours to destroy. And this has been an ongoing thing that he is obsessed with.
Yeah.
He's obsessed. You had the Medal of Honor ceremony this week, and this guy interrupts the whole Medal of Honor ceremony to go on and on about the fucking drapes and the ballroom. And it's like, we have men and women
wasn't this
dying.
right after they had already done the Iran thing?
Yes, Iran happened on Saturday. The Medal of Honor thing happened on Monday or Tuesday. And we already had dead Americans.
Right.
And you're fucking talking about the drapes.
He's a malignant narcissist.
But he's obsessed with this ballroom. And so, it's good. It's now up to $400 million. It's grossly unpopular. And one of the complaints there, he's being sued over it, but one of the complaints is that there wasn't a public commenting period. So the National Planning Commission, which unfortunately is going to be a rubber stamp because he appointed all these people.
Right.
But they opened up
there before.
Like the Kennedy Center board, same thing. So they're going to approve it. But to insulate it from legal challenges, they had to open it up to a public comment period. They got 35,000 comments. They said this is the most comments they've had in decades. And 97% of the comments were negative. People are very upset about this, including Republicans. So in the story that I found, it said that one of the comments, because they're public comments, so you can actually go and search them.
Yeah, you can click and there's a full PDF that'll show you.
That's where this came from. All 35,000. This person was a 3-time Trump voter. This is what he said, quote, "I voted for Donald Trump 3 times, but I did not vote for this," said Jim somebody who has held local office in his hometown of, is it Medea, Pennsylvania? I'm not sure, but it's somewhere in Pennsylvania. He said Trump, hold on, let me get the rest of the, hold on. He said Trump is only a temporary occupant of the White House. It belongs to the American people. It is not his personal property. 3-time Trump voter.
He's
That's why I pulled this one, because this was a former staffer of the Nixons.
Oh, wow.
East Wing. And she says, "I assisted the social secretary. I was intimately involved in planning state dinners and other social occasions which took place at the White House." And basically said they were intimate affairs. Part of their magic was the guest experience of being inside the White House and in close proximity to the president and first lady. No one wants to be in an adjunct building as a part of a large crowd, all of whom have to endure lengthened security protocols. This house is owned by the American people. The president is only a temporary occupant. And that goes on to talk about, like, it's decorated in gold, like the European and Middle Eastern castles and palaces, when Americans are losing healthcare and paying higher prices for food.
So that's the thing, right? Bring it all back to families cannot make ends meet. The president is out building a ballroom in a house that's not even his. And I think this is resonating all throughout the country. And this is something that Democrats need to continue to push hard. And if they do that, then we are going to have a fabulous, fabulous midterm election.
Well, I would piggyback off that, Maria, and say this is a really good moment to toot the horn of Seneca Project. That's what we do, right?
Yes.
Like our messaging, and we've been saying this entire time. If anybody is watching and you want to go back to our YouTube, we've got, Betraying the Brave, where we're betraying our military and veterans. We've got, Don
Big
the
beautiful betrayal,
affordability con. Like, we've been talking about the fact that he's not for anyone.
No,
we even have an ad that's that he's not for you, he's for them. And we were the first to do it. Nobody else did it. We did it last spring.
I remember.
So if you want to help the Seneca Project, the first thing you can do is just go share one of those ads that's still very relevant, unfortunately, today. And then second, as always, if you can donate, this is how we create more of this content, more of this messaging. I'll post it. You don't even worry about it. I got you. I will put it up here for you, but it's a good time as any to say this is how we continue this work with all of your help.
That's
absolutely.
Right. That's right. It is the Seneca Project is such a wealth of amazing messaging, great imagery, But, and I've even told Democrats this, like, if they need guidance, anyone who is, going to go on TV or going to go give a talk or doing anything on social media, the Seneca Project is a wealth of incredible messaging that can be used, that is effective, that is compelling, that moves people, that, touches people's emotions and energies. And I think if everyone came to Seneca Project and started mimicking the messaging, there's no question we would have an amazing midterm election.
Well, thank you very much, everyone.
We'll clip that.
We will clip that, and good night.
We were going to make an episode about the Seneca Project, but you've said a lot tonight that maybe we'll just clip that.
There you go. There you go.
We had no idea she was going to say that. No, but thanks. Honestly, thank you.
Your horn. You were recently.
Yes.
You're one of the women shaping policy, which is no surprise given this conversation. So congratulations on being.
Thank you. That's very sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's one of the things I love about this organization is women uplifting women. We know, we have seen it, we've lived it way too many times. Women in these sort of positions of power in politics, some of them think that if I win, you lose. If you win, I lose. And instead of lifting each other up, we're like crabs in a barrel, right? And so we can't be that way. There are plenty of other people who want to pull us down. Right? We don't have to do it to ourselves. And there's plenty of pie to go around. And so many talented women and women with heart who really want to go out there and make this country a better place. And I am so proud to be working with a group of women who define that every single day.
Oh, Maria, you're gonna make us blush.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're so honored to have you be a part of this. Like I said, you were one of the first phone calls I made. You remember 2 years ago.
I love it.
And and you've just really been a huge supporter for us and continue to lift us up. And we're so appreciative of you and for you taking your time out on a Thursday of this crazy week to come hang out with us for a little while. But we got to have you back more often.
Yes, I would love that, ladies. Absolutely.
Yes.
Let me know.
Absolutely. Maria Cardona, folks, please follow Maria if you don't already. And make sure you check her out on CNN, giving it to the other side, bringing the feisty facts to them and not taking any shit, because that's what we do. We do it with heart and we do it with honesty, and we are fierce and fabulous. So
there you go.
Thank you, Maria.
Sisters. I really appreciate you all having me. It was so much fun. It was intelligent conversation. It was witty, and it is, we need to do this a lot more often. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Love you, sis.
Have a wonderful evening. Mwah. Love you both.
Bye. Love it.
She's the best.
That was so fun.
I know. Maria's I love her. And her daughter is super smart, sharp, spitfire like her mom. And it's kind of funny because Maria went to Duke. And when her daughter last year was looking for colleges, she came and visited UVA. And so, of course, I was like, go to UVA or GW, because that's where I went to school.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got rejected from Duke. So I was like, don't go to Duke.
I
got rejected from UVA, too, as an undergrad, which I always crack jokes about because it came full circle. And Professor Sabato was like, well, if you'd known me back then, I got in. But that's okay. I was meant to go where I went to school. I went to GW, which I absolutely loved. And it put me in the epicenter of power right at a young age. So I was right in the thick of it from the time I was 18 years old. And here I am at the ripe old age of 50, still in the fight. So anyway, well, before we go, a couple of things. We're not going to end the show without our bright spot, because that's what we do here. I mean, Maria was a pretty bright spot for us, but our little bright spots that we like to talk about, there's two things this week. And Mal, I don't know, do you have a bright spot?
I don't, but I would love. We need to remind folks that we got No Kings coming up, so that'll be.
Yes,
We'll end on that note.
Perfect. So two things. So if you're not signed up for our Seneca Snapshot newsletter that we put out every week where you can keep up with what we're doing, please go to the website, senecaproject.us, go click on the sign up for our email list, and you'll get that every week. We include two sections in there called Fuel for the Fight and The Bright Spot. So this week's Fuel for the Fight, because it is Women's History Month, we did this last year too. There is an excellent documentary on PBS called The Vote. If you want to learn about the suffrage movement and the latter part of the suffrage movement, kind of the second half, the modern one with like Alice Paul and that part. Excellent documentary. So check that out. And then also check out the book, which I should have put in. I think I'll put it in for next week, Mal. The Jeanette Rankin book. It's called Winning the Earthquake. It's so good. If you're interested in learning about the first woman member of Congress, she's really amazing. So I think we'll put that in next week.
I will also shamelessly plug, I told you that I have a very dear friend who wrote a musical about Jeanette. There's so much of the music is on YouTube. It's so beautifully done. It was called Jeanette, and then the name shifted, but I think on YouTube it's still called Jeanette. And it's like the music tells the story of her getting elected to Congress, and then her son in Tennessee having the vote. Like it's really incredible. By Ari Afsar, who's written a lot of incredible musicals and music about politics and women in power. So
that's cool. So we'll put that in the newsletter next week. We'll put the book and a link to that musical, because I think that's cool. But my bright spot this week has nothing to do with politics, other than Sunday is International Women's Day, March 8th, and I discovered that there is this beautiful like botanical garden up in Canada that is doing a special program. They do programming to encourage little girls to get interested in science, in biological sciences and conservation, earth sciences. And it's basically like a butterfly garden. And they do these little workshops, and oh my gosh, like look how precious with this one. And so I just thought this was so cool, because it's like you want to foster that curiosity, especially for young girls, because these are spaces that girls traditionally are told that they don't belong in, right? That's for boys and but it's not. This is 2026, and no matter what this administration or what the trad wife, that Christian nationalist movement tries to say to diminish women and try to get us back just barefoot and pregnant, fuck that shit. Okay, we want to keep encouraging our young little girls to do whatever the hell they want to do. If they want to be scientists, if they want to be astronauts, if they want to be in the military, whatever they want. And so anything like that, I'm all for. And plus, who doesn't love butterflies and pretty flowers? I do. It's spring. Now you know me. It has been cold. You've
been sitting outside a little bit. You're trying to get that sunshine.
Speaking of sitting outside, Rafi wants to go sit outside. We're getting Rafi a catio. We're going to get Rafi a catio this year, so he can come outside with me. But I'm very excited about spring, so I can have my butterflies and my hummingbirds in May. We'll talk about that when they come. So anyway, so that's this week's bright spot. It's about butterflies and blooms and pretty little girls and smart ones that are going to be interested in science. And it's all to celebrate International Women's Day coming up on Sunday. And something else is coming up now. That's right.
Coming up on March 28th. We just want to make sure you don't forget there is another No Kings protest happening across the country. And it's really important that all of us get out. We attend, we're there, we make sure our presence is known. I think I was listening to something, this is going to be wrong, but just roll with me. There's a certain percentage of the population that stands up, then
3.5%, I think, is the number.
3.5% of the population. And I do believe that we're pretty close. Like we're close to being there at these protests. So
especially now, where nothing like an illegal war to get people pissed off.
Nothing like an illegal war with no plan of action. But I digress. Just want to make sure people have this on their calendar. hopefully we'll have some really cool content coming out soon to promo it. We'd love for y'all to share. But in the meantime, make
Well,
sure
not
you mark
hopefully.
this off.
We will. Actually,
We will. Sorry. We will have some pretty cool content.
Yes, we are in the
Yes.
we are in the editing process right now. We are partnering with Indivisible. We will have a couple of promos actually coming out shortly that we're excited to bring to the world. So, yes.
Yes. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with, because I told you I love this.
Yes.
This video of Hillary Clinton is how we all collectively feel right now. Her face. She said, anyway.
Listen, whenever Hillary Clinton does this,
she's getting ready to cook you.
She is just imagining everyone just cooked. Like, she's like,
Yeah.
you're not going to rattle me. I'm about to destroy all of you. That's the tell. When she does this,
I can't get over her.
Forget it. She's like, yeah.
She said, I'm ready.
And she was. She
made Lauren Boebert wish she had never been born.
Oh
man.
Yes.
Hillary is
I was here for it. For it. Well, guys, you got an added bonus. We got Maria and we got Rafi Catbutt and Butterflies. So it has been quite the show today, everyone. All right. On that note, we will see you guys next week. Stay tuned for our No Kings promos. They'll be out soon. And God knows what we'll be talking about 1 week from now. Good night.